flood of blue flag submissions where they're like, okay, well, I had a blue flag on turn 2, but I got beyond it, and then turn 5 it came around. Like the stewards would have to just literally go over every lap of every blue ticket or blue flag submission with a fine-tooth comb to see if it really came down to within that one lap. You know what I mean? To see if it was, you know,
Oh, but Koa holds it around the outside, and he gets a way better exit.
Pushing hard, already 3 wide into turn 1.
A little bit, and a group of Astons just piling up on him, trying to hold everybody off. Push him wide a little bit. Oh, but you can't make it stick.
Boonstra is able to hold the inside.
Got a little overlap, but he can't do it.
Ooh, and
he just caught it.
Mr. Sir and King are banging doors.
Oh, shoot.
And we're off and away for SRA.
Welcome, SRA Nation and fans, to another wonderful night for D3 racing here at Oulton Park. Tonight, I am joined by Nate Bright.
Hey, how you doing?
Always wonderful to have you in the booth with me tonight. So
it's a pleasure, as always. Yeah, I think we're in for a really exciting race at Oulton Park here. It's gonna be tight. There's not a lot of passing opportunities. It's going to be crazy. Not much room for error. So super, super excited to see how this night's going to unfold.
Yeah, I agree. And I know that you've already started talking about the track. So let's jump into the track map and go over what's going on here at Oulton. So here at Oulton, it's a 2.692 miles. My brain's jumping ahead already. 4.3 kilometers, located here in England. Interesting little area because it's got a lot of surrounding major towns like Manchester and everything near it, but it's 17 tricky turns that will decide if you make 1 millimeter error, will toss you out into the grass, and so you're trying to stay in line and make sure that you are not having any incidents in that grass. Where do you see people either struggling or having a lot of passing opportunities?
Man, passing opportunities. I feel like that's a loaded question. Simply because there isn't a whole lot of them, at least in my experience with the track. Now that doesn't mean that they don't exist, but it's going to be one of those things where tonight I feel like consistency is going to be key. I feel like a lot of passing opportunities are going to come from just simply staying your line, not buckling under pressure. You're going to have people on your bumper a lot, and I feel like you're going to be behind people's bumpers a lot, and that's going to put pressure to and fro. So if you can come out of some of the more trickier chains, 7, 8, and 9 are definitely going to be tough. 10, 11, 12, right after that long straight separating 7, 8, and 9, another tough area to make a pass on. But if you can survive them and you could just keep your nose to the grindstone, I feel like consistency is going to be key tonight.
I definitely agree. So we'll see how these drivers can do. We're starting to see some drivers already on their hot lap here. You'll notice that some of the cars are still in the pit lane while some are on track. So if you're a first-time watcher or follower of SRA, we do things a little differently with qualifying than some other leagues. We have 2 splits. We have our silver and we have our gold split. Silver obviously denoted by the silver tags next to the drivers' names. These drivers get the first 10 minutes of qualifying, where then the gold drivers, denoted by the white tags next to their name, will then have the final 10 minutes to put in their times. So first out right now is Dunham here, getting through this last little section of 13-14 into Druids. So we'll see where he puts his banker at, and we'll see what everyone else does as well.
Yeah, and it kind of goes without saying, obviously the gold split drivers who get to go out second have the advantage in that the track is a little bit more rubbered at that point. You got a little bit more grip coming around some of the more important corners that grip is required, obviously. So it's a perk that is earned, not necessarily given.
Yeah. So I agree. You just gotta be one of the faster drivers upon classification time. But you know, we've been seeing a lot of these silver drivers still putting in good times and getting some good quality finishes during the races. So silver drivers are nothing to scoff at themselves as well. So they putting gold boys and girls under pressure themselves.
Yeah, it's really one of those situations where when you get down to the D1, D2, D3 sort of levels of competition, you're gonna have competitive, spirited racing all throughout the grid. I don't think it's just gonna be front heavy. You're gonna find it front back, as we see Dunham now laying down a 134.310, which, hell, for his very first validated lap, that's a very respectable time.
Yes, it is. And seeing up and down the grid, a lot of drivers invalidating as they go. This track, like I said, it has some tight track limits, so you step just a little out of line, especially on that first turn. You will then you're kind of going, oh well, now I have to go in a whole lap pushing to make sure I keep my gap. But I also don't have this count for me. As we also see Flores here, up 5/10, so this will move him up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Might move him up to P2 if I can math correctly. Sometimes I can't math correctly at all, so we'll see. But I'm guessing if he keeps this pace up, P2 is in the near future for him at the moment.
Right, as of right now, he's 5/10 up on his best lap time, but still finds himself 2/1000ths of a second behind Dunham at a 134.312, and Dunham had a 134.310. So that's going to be a pair to watch as the race progresses.
Yeah, that was close. He got P3, so I wasn't too far off.
There it is. Yeah, he did finish with a 134.850.
Like I said, I see a couple red invalidated laps, so you just gotta keep an eye on that, and drivers are gonna have to pay attention to the track limits, especially the gold drivers. I know once they're probably looking at this and seeing everybody kind of get that little blue blip on the map saying that they are no longer on a valid lap, kind of being like, all right, where do I gotta watch out for?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's gonna be tough on this track. All it takes is one just minor lapse in concentration around a key corner, which, you know, I suppose would go for any track realistically, but I feel like the limits here on this one are a little bit less forgiving than most tracks. So you're gonna find that it requires a much more dedicated focus throughout that 60-minute period to maintain what would normally, you know, perhaps place you better elsewhere.
Yeah. While we were talking about everything, we saw some people jump, actually. We got Whitting Jr. Getting up into P2. Lorenzo had almost a second, I think a second 1.2, so
yeah,
he had some really good improvement there, moving up to P11. But then we also saw Lee and Robert also move up into the top 5 while we were discussing everything. I also see Holmes going up 5/10 as he crosses the line, moves him up to P4. So a lot of improvements from these drivers. Kind of just getting comfortable with the track. I know it was a little hot when we were doing our qualies yesterday, so tire temperatures were not loving us. So I can only imagine what these drivers are doing as they're pushing it to the absolute limit for them as well.
Sure. Absolutely. And we still see Dunham as he breaks into the 133 range with a 133.925. So not only does he come out of the pits with a quickness and set the hottest lap out of the gates, but he's maintaining it and improving upon it continuously getting faster. So the
Oh,
first
boy.
one to break the 133 spectrum is in fact done now.
Slow down. But who doesn't need to slow down is Matt Schmeitzer here, who's up almost 6/10 as we're getting into turn 16 and 17.
Look at him go.
And he's taking that Audi around
Safe
this
to
track.
say, he found a groove.
He did. And 6/10 will move him up quite a bit. P8 at the moment. Oh boy.
There we go.
We're
And then he
getting
was,
there.
what was he at 13?
I believe like 13 or 14, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
So a good 4 or 5 jump right there.
Dunham, you need to stop. Actually, no, just keep going. I love to see it. Dunham's
Yeah,
up a 10.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm eating popcorn over here. I'm just chowing down. I'm loving this. Dunham, keep at it, baby.
Oh, I know, but it's just like, how much more do you got?
I know it.
Oh,
And so this is exactly what I was talking about. When it doesn't matter if it's silver or gold split. I think we're gonna see some really, really competitive racing all down the grid tonight.
we may have gave him the curse though, because he finished in the red.
The old commentator's curse. Oh, I hope not.
I hope not, because he has been on an absolute tear. Sectors 1 and 2 were his for the taking at that point. I don't know what his sector times are looking like compared to others, but he has been absolutely flying.
He's
Who
killing it.
else is flying? Williams here, who actually does have the best time in Sector 1, up 2/10. Needs 6/10 to get that pole, and he seems like he's growing that that delta. He's almost 5/10 up.
No
we're getting
question
there.
about it.
Let's
As
see
we
how
see
he does.
the gold split lining up to make their safe entries and start laying down their qualifying, while the remaining bastion of the silver splits finish their final lap. We will see how Dunham sort of lands with those absolute heaters that he was able to put down in the early paces of tonight's qualifying.
Yeah, because it's Dunham, Whitting Jr., Air, and Williams still on there. Laps. Williams puts it P4. Air, who's up 3/10 as we get into turns 10, 11, and 12.
Sure.
So he's up 4/10. Dunham, I believe, is getting through the last 2 turns now, is up.
And he's still up
tenth.
a tenth of a second on his 133.925. Does he still have it in him to improve on his best so far at the very last lap? And he does. Look at that. Taking it down to the wire.
Whitting
The very
Jr.
last lap, under 10 minutes at an 8:52, brings it in to a 133.875. You got to appreciate the hustle with that. Taking it down to the wire, using every second to his advantage.
Well, it looks like Anastasi for the gold split was one of the first drivers to get out, so he will have all the fresh air in front of him while the drivers behind have to slow down as they get into turn 16, get that gap opened up, and start putting the hammer down. So
Yeah. The bar has been set. Now it's up to the gold drivers to meet it.
honestly, the 2 people that I saw just on the hot lap times, like I could see putting up a big fight, is Dupuis and Dunham.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah, Dupuis is going to be in contention for that conversation. There's no question about it. He's always in that conversation.
Oh, and Aaron Anderson. Forgot about him. He's also been doing well. So
yeah,
I see those 3 drivers trying to fight out for pole, but we'll see what happens with the gold drivers, because Dunham, obviously being in the silver split, is already done. So
right. Yeah, he's sitting it out from now. Now he's just sitting on the sidelines, sipping on his Mai Tai and seeing what these guys can accomplish here.
I was gonna say he's probably sitting there on bated breath, waiting to see what these gold drivers are doing, because he obviously put in a heater of a lap, and
that's true.
Now has to wait that 10 minutes that these drivers have, and you're just kind of sitting there in anxiety a little bit, going, did I do enough?
Exactly. So let me ask you, Austin, what's going through your mind if you're a silver driver and you feel confident, you lay down just an absolute heater of a qualifying, and you got 10 minutes to relax? Are you relaxing? Are you stressed? Are you trying to clear your mind? What's going through your head if it were you?
Typically just go for a bathroom break. Make sure everything's
Everything's
all settled before the race even starts.
Yeah. Yeah, make sure you got your beers handy. Or wait, no, not your beers. You know, your Diet Coke's handy.
Well, if you paid attention to the E3 chat, Ryan Garrity actually was saying something about if you finish in the top 10, you gotta have an adult apple juice on the formation lap. So there's already some banter going around. I know Garrity is actually listening right now, so hopefully he appreciates that.
Yeah, and shout out to family. Hope they're all doing well and recover from the illness it seems they had. And there's not anything that I think I've ever seen Garrity said that I disagree with, and this holds true to that.
Well, let's give some love to his teammate right now, actually, who's up about 7/10s, kind of fluttering on that, and I'll move him up around 15 or 16 at the moment. So, got some room to improve, and
Sure.
Obviously, it's still early, so probably just getting those tires warmed up to optimal temperature, because that third and fourth lap are really where it's at. As you can also see right behind him, Jess Osborne putting in some close laps there. So hopefully that doesn't hurt Jess in the next lap or so.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see. You could take more aggressive strategies, obviously, with the qualifying than you can with the actual race. Perhaps you're a little bit more aggressive on the curbs, a little bit less conservative on the tires, because you only have to do it for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But it changes over the course of an entire hour-long race.
By the way, while we were watching Levine, Speed put in absolute banger of a lap, 33.2. And then Dupuis, that was Dupuis
with the 33.2. Yeah,
that was Dupuis with it was a 33.7 from Speed. So Dupuis absolutely blowing that out of the water.
Both of them. Let's just agree that it's both of them.
Yeah.
They both dethroned Dunham with a 33.2 and a 33.7 respectively, which is enough to dethrone Dunham with his 33.8.
It is going to be a tight battle up front if the paces keep up the way they are, but if Dupuis is on his quality pace for the race, he might just run away for a while, unless he has an incident.
You know, would you be surprised if Dupuis ran away from it? Has he shown any other reason throughout this entire season that he shouldn't run away from it? I mean, the guy, he's been fantastic. It's terribly exciting to watch.
Past two races, P1. So he's trying to make it a,
he's a monster.
Triple crown, or if you are a bowling fan, a turkey. Gobble gobble.
Gobble goggle. I can't even say it. It goes to show I'm not even a bowling guy. I tried bowling once and my arm was sore for like 3 days.
Oh no. I liked bowling too much, and I happened to work at a bowling alley in college, so I learned way too many things about bowling. May have translated a little too much into ACC yesterday, as I turned myself into a bowling ball at times, as we see Carbo doing the same, taking a long journey through the grass.
Austin. I didn't fare much better in my race yesterday either in D5, man. I was all over the place.
I was not having a great day, and I only have myself to blame. That's the best part about it is I have no qualms with anybody else. It was all mine. So.
Yep. I hear you, brother. I'm in the same boat.
But yeah, Anastasi kind of jumping back on track here. Anastasi up 2/10. That'll move him up a couple spots here. But he's losing time now.
Oh, no. As Roscosh finds himself just kind of slipping away at turn 4 there. Just the corner gets away from him a little bit. Goes a little too wide. Wrecks that qualifying lap for him. As we see him try to go out again and recuperate after. He's got time to lay down probably maybe 2 more decent laps if he can handle it.
Yeah, well, speaking of Roscosh, Super Dave's on a tear, and if he can keep up this pace, he might actually take Roscosh out of the top 10. So we'll see as he sees his time delta drop a little bit. So I don't think he's going to, I feel like
Hey.
Oshkosh is a little safe.
0.7 of a second up on his PB.
Yeah, now he's starting to gain it back. So,
Yeah. And there
There it
you
is.
go, right there, number
11.
11, just behind, enough to take over Roscosh. But now Roscosh finds himself at P12 as Sean Williams finds himself safely in P10 right now with a 134.142.
a lot of fast drivers. With Dupuy going around, I'm not seeing much improvement through him. So I wonder if those tires he's been abusing them for these few first laps, and he's already put in 5. So those tires, if they're anything like I remember, they are probably screaming. They are going to be super hot and overinflated. But as say that, he's goes through 7, 8, and 9, and he's up 2/10.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the anti-commentator curse right there, if you will.
Yeah, Speed though. Speed's trying to. Anastasi just puts it on P2, but he might not be there for long. As Speed, there it is.
know it.
Speed comes through with a heater lap.
So now you're looking at Dupuy with the 133.225, which he's been holding down for a while. Good enough for first place. Speed with the 133.4. Anastasi with the 133.6. Robbie Toe with the 133.7. He came out of nowhere, but
He just
to no
set that.
surprise of anybody. Yeah.
But he is going to have to wait for bated breath as we see some of these drivers behind him improve, because that is qualifying over for anybody that's crossed the line. Dupuy did get out, it looks like, before the timer ran out, so he is still going, but I could be wrong. But he can actually extend his whole time out there. But if he's the last car out there, do you really want to extend that pole? Because you already got the 1 point and you're already on pole. Like,
That's right. That's right. At this point, hey, you know, I wouldn't even say it's cutting your losses. Just take your wins.
yeah. Pickert, also one of the drivers still out there, having 3/10 up. That'll move him up into He'll be inside the top 10 if he holds this. Around probably the 6 or 7 area.
Sure.
As I see, he's floating around that 3/10 now. We see him cross the line here. Where's that going to put him? P5. There it is. I was off a little bit, but he had a little more improvement.
Hey, you were close.
Yeah. Gino. Also, shout out Gino for being such a good sport. I may have done him dirty on the podcast with Bailey, but it's all in.
Oh,
good
Gino,
heart.
as he
And
slips in the top 10.
there you go. So,
Yeah, comfortably at number 9.
some good times come through these drivers. I just can't believe the pace. I not good at this track, and mine was a 35, and I'm seeing 33s getting dropped like nothing. Constantly. Yeah. It's hard to explain, but the pace that D3 has is insane. As we get ready here for the start of the race, we have Dupuy, Speed, Anastasi, Toddy, Fickert, Carbo, Anderson, Dunham, Gino, and Sam Reck all in your top 10. We do have a pit lane start, I believe, for Maxwell, but Maxwell is in the server. He does have a pit lane start, according to my records. Let me just double check that. Yeah, he is the only one that has a penalty tonight that he has to serve, but we are looking forward for a good, hard-fought battle with all these drivers. Let me just quickly try to get the standings up as I struggle bless my way through this. As you see here, here's our standings, as it looks like Dupuy has now taken the lead by a single point over Sam Reck, and then Fickert, Meeks, Aaron Anderson, Super Dave, Andy Speed, Anastasi, Robbie Toddy, and Gino rounding out your top 10 for points. Here's page 2, so you get to see everybody. And then we'll quickly run over the teams. Start your systems of Aaron Anderson and Zach Dupuis. What a absolute beast of a team. Those two have been having a good season together. Sam Reck and Super Dave also having a good season together, sitting in P2. We got Robbie Totti, Dustin Fickert with Armentario, Apex Hunters, and then Tequila Sunrise, TRD, and G Metric Racing of Speed and Carbo finishing up your top 5 for the team series points. Now, as we now jump back to the line, as we see a lot of these drivers going and getting their setups ready, we'll just do a quick little peek of the top 10s liveries here. I love that Paranoid Racing livery there, along with the Weehall. So a lot of talented artists a part of SRA, and we always love to see their work that they put in. So I always
no
love
question
to
about it. I apologize for that sudden absence right there. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I do. If I disappear, I have to tend to my fiance. She's a little sick right now, so just trying to balance 2 things at once here. I apologize for that absence.
All understandable. I had it under control. But I was saying,
Beautiful. I heard you talking about some wonderful and exciting liveries.
yeah, we only have a couple more races to shout these ones out before we start looking and getting some new ones in. So, trying to give them as much love as I possibly can as we go through the grid. Look for these drivers to get through their formation lap.
Yeah, that's no question. You really just got to hand it to a lot of the creative outlets, a lot of creative people here that put a lot of time and effort in pouring their heart and soul into the liveries that they created, and they just look fantastic. So I know it's late in the season, but as a reminder to anyone who probably is wondering why every car on their track just looks black, then you might want to look into updating your livery collection through SRA through awesomesimracing.com, I believe it is.
Yes, it is.
And that'll get you all the beautiful liveries that everyone has put so much time and effort into, showing up in your race, in your replays, in the recollection of
Garrity giving some love to his teammate too, with that Krispy Kreme. I don't know which one made the Krispy Kreme livery, but I love it. It was fun for a while. I didn't have a Krispy Kreme. I moved to a different city, and I live like 5 minutes away, and I am tempted every single day on my way to work to go and stop at Krispy Kreme.
To do fun facts instead of John Donahue. Fun fact, Austin has gained 10 pounds since moving next to a Krispy Kreme.
Fair enough. I mean, those glazed donuts, man.
Hey, it would have been 20 pounds if it were me. Luckily, I don't live close to one.
Yeah. We also have some love for Gino's livery, which was Ghost Rider Racing. Shout out to Bailey Kish.
Oh, absolutely. Shout out indefinitely. That's my dude. That's my team right there. The pink and purple. I'm always a fan of that. Anyone who knows me knows those are my favorite colors. You gotta love the pink and purple GRR. I'm a little biased, but hey, what can I say? And Benya Brew. Your
the brand.
bendable, foldable, yeah, portable coffee solution.
Hey, we haven't got to the ad reads yet, but we are starting to line up double file here. So we'll see if Dupuis can hold the lead into turn 1 or not. As we have the AMRs sitting 1-2, followed by a Porsche, and then a gaggle of AMRs, another Porsche, 2 AMRs, Porsche, and then we finally see our first different car. And it's green light, away we go for this race at Oulton Park here. Dupuis had a nice start, holding that lead. You seen anything down the order? As it looks like it was a fairly clean start from a lot of these drivers.
Yeah, especially in the front end of the grid. I'm going to take a little peek towards the back end.
I say that as I see Scott Smith going wide there. It looks like he got a little love tap in the back there. But
honestly, I mean, it's pretty clean from what I'm seeing.
Clean apart from that one little love tap. So,
yeah,
being on such a tight track, that's You know, something we like to see. I mean, obviously you don't like to see an incident, but we like to see a lot of cars surviving. As I see a yellow flag back, looks like Shea. Oh no, what happened there? Going into the hairpin, Shea had a little bit of an off-track excursion as he is exploring the nice grassland areas and having that nice look over Oulton Lake, right, which is right next to Oulton.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, and going into looking into the first and then the second chicane down at the around the 20th position of the track with Levine, everyone's staying a single file, maintaining good lines, you know, anticipating the accordion effect. It's been very clean, up and down from what I'm seeing.
And we'll start to see the drivers kind of getting into the single file now as we're getting into the second laps and later on. Oh my gosh, has he? It looks like Dupuis has already pulled out a second gap. He's a driver on a mission today.
Yeah, he's not wasting any time. So far, he's already pulled out. It looks like a second, 1.1 seconds ahead of Anthony Speed, and I don't know if there's any stopping him. I would say the only thing stopping him tonight is himself.
That would be the case because, like I said during qualifying, that if you step out just that little bit, like 1 millimeter out of line, you may get sent off.
Yeah, that's it.
So, as I see Johnson here going side by side with Moffitt, Moffitt getting ahead there as we get into this chicane. It's really a one-car line, so good awareness to kind of back out there.
I mean, let's face it, it's really the entire track. And we do have a little contact around the first chicane. It looks like that was Anderson. No, not Anderson. I apologize. Who was that?
This is the second chicane. They, let's see, 788, that'd be Wreck, hopped the curb, and they touch with Anderson as impartial as we can possibly be with that, not making anything, but they come together, and a lot of cars behind them also getting caught up with that because they're trying to slow down, and a lot of it at that point following so close behind somebody, you're relying on the car in front of you, what's going on, and sometimes you can't just make that quick second stop because you're expecting them to brake at their normal brake point. You're backing yours up 10, 15 meters, but then they're stopping even harder to avoid an incident, and you're not prepared for it. So
absolutely right. And I feel like as the lap goes on, you know, when it first starts, you're obviously hypersensitive to anticipating the accordion effect. But as the gap starts thinning out a little bit, you might start getting a little bit more complacent, and then all of a sudden something immediate happens, and then that's when that accordion effect really kind of strikes at you.
Yes, I agree. And we've already seen some people pit. Again, if you're new, we do have a larger pit window than previous seasons as well. The previous season we had about a 10-minute. We experimented with a 40-minute, but this season we went to a 55-minute pit window. So these drivers getting to have these like incidents early on, get a chance to get their mandatory pit stop done early on, fix the damage, and then just continue on and not have to pit twice. Hopefully, that's the hope, is they're not getting into any more incidents and having to repair damage.
Exactly. But that's kind of the beauty of it as well. If you do find yourself in that accordion disaster at the very early goings and you do take some damage, you can fix it early on in the race, get your 1 liter of fuel, and with some good fortune and some good concentration, perhaps that's all you need for the rest of the race. But there's strategy implied, you know, because now you have the blue flag rule. If you are blue flagged, or if you see the blue flag, you have to yield. If you're being blue flagged, you have to yield at the first available safe spot to do so. Normally a straightaway.
Yeah.
So that's a good change of pace, I think, which I think bodes well for the longer pit.
It does. And while we were talking about that, on the main screen we had Anderson making an absolutely gorgeous move into P6 for P12 into turn 16. And now we're on board with Dunham, who is eyeing up a move into this chicane of 10, 11, and then into 12, but not making any rash decisions, just kind of holding back, because it is a Porsche on a AMR. So it does not have the full go-go juice that he needs to get alongside.
Yeah, and as Anderson's he's slowly creeping up on Lloyd right now, who's in 10th place. Anderson's kind of just right on his tail end, letting him know, hey, listen, I'm here. You mess up, I'm going around.
Yeah, there's also between Anastasi, Toddy, Fickert, they are all kind of fighting for P3 through 5, doing the same thing, kind of being in the rearview mirror, saying, I'm here, you step out of line, I am gaining on you. And Anastasi must be sweating, because obviously being in a Porsche and with some of these straights, you are going to end up losing out. As I see, he makes an error right there.
Yeah, kind of goes really wide on that and is giving Robbie Tody a little bit of an angle to get up on him, but he starts to break away from Tody.
Yeah, I mean...
He recovered really well. I got to hand it to Anderson.
Anastasi.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Anastasi. Yeah.
Well, I do the same thing, so we're all good. But yeah, as I see Rajkosh, looks like he had a little bit of an incident into the hairpin. As I see him, he's going with Super Dave, was too wide, touches the grass by the apex of Island Bend there, and also goes on a beach excursion, wanting to take a little look of the beach there.
If you look at
an issue, unfortunately, so I'm going to go to the intermission screen.
P19 through 29, all these guys from Air to Osborne, these guys are all increasing their lap time. So the gap that was starting to form towards the back is starting to get slimmer and slimmer.
Well, I'm trying as fast as I can, folks, to get back into the server and have everything back up for you. I apologize. I need to get my computer fixed. For some reason, it's decided that it does not like the server for me. Nate Speck also putting in the good ulp. I'm going to go with my Minnesota roots and say it's a big oofta right there. But we get on board right away with Whitting Jr. making a pass attempt here. A little door banging and ending up going wide, unfortunately, and losing out a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just going to cycle back around to Zach DeQuee. At this point, you know, he's 6.5 seconds ahead of speed. Are you feeling comfortable at this point? Are you relaxing, or are you keeping your head swivel and not letting anything catch up on you?
Relax at this point. You can never relax, because if you start relaxing, that car behind you is going to start creeping up every so often and putting pressure on you. So you're going to have to kind of always be on it. So you're just going to constantly pushing, but you're not pushing that 102% that you normally would. You're kind of pushing that 99.9%, so you can stay sharp and continue to push out. So, but yeah, I'm following on board with this fight here, all between Anastasi and Carbo. I see Moffitt actually having a little incident. Let's go back here. I feel like this is going to be one of those things that we see a little bit too often tonight, just because the nature of this track is just going to cause a lot of these drivers to have a little incident like that. As you see Moffitt does get a little tap there from Audi. Don't know what, it looks like a Schmeitzer, but diving into the pits now and fix probably all the damage that he had. So we'll see where he ends up and at the end of the race. Looking down the order, we have, it looks like a good battle between Maxwell, Scusa, and Lorenzo. Scusa looking to make a move on Maxwell here. And coming through turn 3, down this little straight into Island Bend, into the hairpin. Probably one of the better areas to potentially make a move, especially for the Porsche, being a little able to, be a little later on the brakes. But I don't think he was close enough to make that move stick. So, gonna stay right behind Maxwell for a little bit longer, and maybe try to make a move into the next hairpin. But again, being in that Porsche versus at this time it would be an Audi. That Audi, that V10 is they go Bert, and you pull away. And so it's a little harder for that Porsche to keep up on these straights.
Yeah, I gotta say, as I'm watching Super Dave try to just find a way to make a pass on Whitting Jr., I have to appreciate Whitting Jr.'s livery. That is just such a sweet, the golden black, the clean lines. That looks so good. I really like
it.
It looks.
I'm on board with Sweeney here, who is all over the diffuser of Super Dave, trying to make a move. You notice something? I noticed that there is no Ferraris in this grid. I don't remember if there was. I think there is a couple Ferraris in D3. There's none here tonight.
Holy smokes, you're right. And there's only one BMW?
Well, the BMW team of Levine and Garrity, we know why Garrity is.
Oh, right. Garrity's out. Right.
But the Ferrari, if you do not know, it is not fun to drive around here. D4, we had 3 Ferrari drivers, myself included. They ended with 1. And it was not me. I did not finish the race. That was my teammate, Josh Potvin. What a mad lad for sticking it out, because
Sure.
it was not fun as Sweeney goes for this move.
Yeah, and he may make it.
Oh, it's tight. It's a tight area to go 2x2 with the sweepingness of this area into Druids. But he
makes the right
pulls
move
out.
by backing off a little bit. He's going to bide his time and wait for the right opportunity.
Folks, it is now 8.7 seconds from leader to P2, so Dupuis is almost 9 seconds now. Dupuis is on a tear.
I feel like he's on another level right now.
He is.
He's in the groove.
He's like you last season. You remember when you hit your second half and you won 3 in a row at the end? That's Dupuis right now. He's found that next level and unlocked it, and just it's working.
Yeah, I love the love that you just gave me there. But the fact of the matter is, there's 34 drivers here tonight. There was like 15 whenever I was doing it. That's the difference.
Still though, you unlock. It's still going back to you unlock that next level, and I think Dupuis has unlocked that next level and is carrying it.
Yeah, in all honesty, I think you're right. Watching him for how this season has progressed and how he has progressed as a driver, I wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment. He's turned into a monster, and it's been really exciting to watch.
Yeah, and you know, putting down these laps that he is just awestrucking for D3.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of these drivers are going, slow down, save some pace for the rest of us. But these drivers are all fighting for points in and out, up and down the field. Especially like right now, we're looking at E18. They're all over the back of Lee right there, and trying to put that pressure on. But they also have Levine right behind them, so it's not just like 1 or 2 drivers fighting. It's up and down the grid. Also, like looking at Scusa, as we see Maxwell having a yellow flag. I'm gonna stay focused on this fight though. But yeah, Scusa was right behind Maxwell at one point and just putting that pressure on. So
Exactly. You can't sleep on any of these drivers. You know, at any point, they're gonna make some good moves, some good passes, and they'll surprise you. If you're not familiar with how well and how consistent they ride.
Yeah, and also drawing to our point earlier on in the broadcast, this track is really hard to pass on, and we're seeing it.
Jeez Louise, yeah.
We've mentioned
honestly, Dupuis got the perfect strategy. It's kind of like Happy Gilmore when he just hits the hole in one, like right off the bat. He's like, I'm just gonna do that every time.
Exactly.
Dupuis like, all right, let me just get pole position, and I'm just gonna stay in first.
Yeah. Like I'm highlighting some of these battles that we were watching. Like Sweeney, I went back to his fight with Super Dave, and he's still behind him. all over that diffuser, and he is trying to force that error because
Yeah,
honestly,
and it's not like he's doing bad. It's not like he's messing up.
the best way to pass on this track is to force the driver in front to make an error, miss the braking spot, or have him go in too slow or in too fast, and you're just playing the mind games. And that's honestly some of the best ways to make those passes here, because
100%.
there's not a great opportunity on a lot of these corners.
Yeah, that's the thing about Oulton. It's for me, it's not so much making a perfect pass on somebody, but just being a constant pressure, almost like a tumor in their brain that just won't go away until finally they mess up.
We did see a pass though. Lee on Felix there, making a pass into turn 1. It looks like Felix has had a little bit of a moment on that straight, and Lee said, I'm going to go side by side. I'm going to take the inside line and get the better run on exit. And he's now in front of Felix, who is also now under pressure immediately from Flores.
Yeah, it's constant here. And we got a really good pack. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars between I'm going to butcher this name. Palant, Flores, Levine, Aaron, Johnson, as they're all kind of grouped up around, just coming through, just almost halfway through Sector 2, and they're all battling for position right here.
Oh no, as we see Flores going too deep.
Flores goes way wide, yeah.
That promotes 3 people up, so that's just free positions. That's what we're talking about, is playing that mind game of, I'm just going to be in your rear view. As I see, Aaron Anderson has a drive-through. Could that be track cuts? I'm going to take a stab and say that is track cuts, because this track is also one of those ones that's notorious for giving out some track cut penalties.
It's not difficult to gain track cuts on this track, you know. They can sneak up on you real fast. Because a lot of the curbs too, as you're going around them, they want to suck you to the outside if you get caught on them.
Yeah, so it's very, especially turn 1. If you take that too fast, you're going out wide past the track limits. That's a track.
It's like a black hole out in the grass there. You go a little wide, it's like, come here, big boy. You're just in it.
Yeah. As we see, Aaron Anderson looks like he is going through the pits now to get rid of his drive-through, because he's already pit. So that hurts a little bit, because now that's the second time you have to go to the pit lane here. Let's see, Williams actually going side by side into a chicane, pulls out, and just decides to follow Lloyd through there. I mean, I feel like that's going to be a common theme tonight too, is people are looking to make the move and then you're just backing out, because it's a attrition battle at some points, because you'd rather save your race and not ruin it.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And not to mention too, there's a lot of curbs where if you're not careful, you could really do some damage to your tires. You know, especially in the chicanes here, you know, you can get sent to the moon if you're not careful. And let's say you get it one lap or you know, one turn over it, that's fine, but you start doing it over the course of multiple laps, then all of a sudden you're getting puncture damage, or you know, your front end, let's say you're in a front wheel drive car, your front end pops up too high, your RPM skyrocket, and all of a sudden you're doing engine damage over the course of the entire race. There's a lot of ways to kind of self-sabotage yourself over the course of a 60-minute race in Oulton Park.
Yeah, I remember seeing a lot of the D1 guys and girls saying like, hey, we had tire pressure issues because we were getting punctures.
Yeah, 100%. It's easy to see in Oulton Park. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. By the way, I'm on board with Vickert here, who is in that wonderful Armentario Academy livery. Also, shout out to Armentario being one of our partners.
Let's talk about him.
It's just a good software to help revitalize the HUD for ACC, to really give you a lot more in-depth details, especially so you can see if you do have a puncture, because you're going to see those tire pressures drop.
That's right,
rapidly.
immediately.
Yeah.
You'll be aware of it immediately. It gives you much more information than if you were just relying on the built-in ACC. Well, I guess they call it a head display, but in my opinion, it's more like a heads down display. It doesn't really tell you a whole lot. So Armentario is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, it does a good job, but Armentario helps take the HUD to the next level.
Oh, absolutely. Immediate information. And I honestly, especially if you're in a D3, if you find yourself in a D3 division, you got to give yourself any advantage you can. That's definitely the way to go as far as giving yourself a little bit of an edge is having the Armentario on your side.
By the way, Sean Daniels also asked, there were some walls that will jump out and get you too, right, Nate?
Sean Daniels really knows how to cut me deep.
Oh, no.
He knows how to cut to the core of me, I'll tell you what.
Oh.
Yeah, so I made the fatal mistake of checking I say checking my rear view, but I run bonnet cam because my computer can't handle the cockpit view because I can't do mirrors or anything like that. So I got to change my view 180 degrees. And I did it right about where Dunham finds himself right here, right after the chicane. And I perfectly clipped myself, if you look at Dunham, right on the corner of this wall, right, I thought it was that one. I guess it was, anyhow, it was like a wall that gets closer to the track, and completely destroyed my front suspension. Problem was I thought it was body damage, so I went to the pits and repaired body, and I came out of pits happy as could be, and still realized I had to hold my wheel 90 degrees to the left to keep it straight, and then I was like, oh great, I get to do this again.
Yeah. Gary also asking about that adult apple juice ballast we were discussing. I have not heard if any of the drivers did that, but we'll probably hear somewhat about it in the D3 chat, as we see Air and Johnson putting a lot of pressure on Felix, but Felix is putting that pressure onto Levine. That's all.
Yeah, no question about it.
You see these cars dipping and diving out of the way to maybe poke their nose out and do a turn, and now they're just gonna keep following each other and be in that rear view mirror and just kind of be like, I'm still here.
Would say, dip, duck, dodge, dive, and dodge.
Yep. Dunham also all over the back of Whitting Jr. And again,
oh,
just,
wow. And a little bit of contact between Whitting Jr. and Dunham as Dunham tries to get around Whitting Jr. Taps him from the rear end. Whitting Jr. doing a great job of maintaining his line. Doesn't get swayed by the pressure that Dunham puts behind him.
As he
and
makes
Dunham
a move.
is going around and makes a move, though. And he's telling him, hey, listen, I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, almost went too wide of the chicane, but this is one of those.
Yeah.
Another chicane that's kind of you can do it, but it's gonna slow you guys down a lot as we see Dunham go wide there, and the car behind in the
allows Whitting Jr. to get a little bit of a gap between him and Dunham.
Yeah, Dave going a little wide there in the background as you saw. So a lot of action on track, just putting a lot of pressure on cars. You know who can help you deal with a lot of that pressure?
Oh, man. Drawing a blank. Why don't you tell me, Austin?
Coach Jeffrey's Academy. The coach.
Of course!
The GOAT. Helping the league out so much.
You know it.
Giving out advice. He could potentially help you with all that pressure. Because he's been there, done that.
What's all this potentially talk?
Hey, he's...
You know he can.
True, you're right. He can. He definitely can. And because he's been there, done that, we'll help you. So look out for Coach Jeffrey's Academy for all of your needs. As I see Air having a yellow flag. Oh no, what happened here? Not a good spot to be yellow flagged because he's right on the racing line.
Meeks has to just narrowly avoid him by going to the outside and does a good job of getting back track without losing control.
So as we saw there in the main picture there, what happened was, looks like Air was going on the inside of turn one, started to lose it a little bit, and then just got tapped and spun around. And so now he is finding himself down in the 26th and having to make a charge back up.
I didn't see it live. I just watched it. No, I was just watching what you saw. I didn't realize it was that close. Yeah. Like it wasn't like a total loss of control. It was just a little slip.
Yeah, and then that extra just tap helped send it all the way around, unfortunately. Yep. And you know one of those ones, and partially being the car on there, you just see the car kind of start sliding. You're kind of as a passenger for that happening in front of you, because you are following so close that they start sliding out, and you're kind of like, where do I go?
Yeah, no question.
I'm just gonna leave it there and let the stewards and everybody talk about that.
Stewards figure it out.
Yeah,
we'll leave it up to the gods.
I'm just the impartial voice of trying to be, at least.
Yeah, we're the jury, not the judge.
Yeah. Scusa also putting a lot of pressure on Dunham now. Porsche on Porsche here, so no overall top speed difference. Although I did see another car have a drive-through. I think they cleared it. So
okay.
Let's see if.
Man, I gotta tell you, speaking of, I'm gonna do this all night long. I apologize, but I'm just gonna call out great liveries when I see them, and I've seen them all season long. But I feel like I haven't had as much time with a microphone. Meeks' livery is fantastic. It's fantastic. I love the color scheme. I love the blending of the colors, the dots, the fading. It's just very tasteful. I really like Meeks' livery.
It's tough when you got both John and I on microphone being very lively people. So.
And I'm not complaining by any stretch of the imagination, but now that I got a little bit more microphone time, I'm going to take an opportunity to say I see a good livery when I see it.
I appreciate it. These drivers and designers put a lot of effort into them, so
absolutely.
I'm glad we get to show them off.
I feel like they should be called out for their excellence here, so I'm going to take that opportunity.
Yeah. And you know who also has excellence within the league community?
Oh, I better believe you're going to tell me.
Go setups.
Yeah, baby.
Go setups.
I love me some Go setups, man.
If you check out our Discord, we are partnered with them, and you will get a link that helps the league out. Once you buy Go setups, they will help improve your times, and if you're still having issues, it might not be a setup issue, it just might be driver error, like myself. So definitely give Go setups a look and see if they're right for you. They'll help improve everything so that you can just focus on racing.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. For people like me, especially, focus on racing. I wish I had the time to devote to just like tinkering with my setup. I really don't. I just need to be able to load and go, and what I found is the Go setups are really effective at it. Honestly, the only tinkering I really need to do with a Go setup, just dial in my tire PSIs. I might adjust a little bit here and there, but it's really just tire PSI, maybe add a little bit of fuel for the qualifying setup, but you get 2 qualifying, you get a safe, you get an e-sport, you get a medium wet setup for a wet track, and you get 2 race setups as well. So you get 5 setups per track, per car. And so for somebody like me who doesn't have time to devote any more time than I already do to just try to figure out how to drive the damn vehicle, those setups are fantastic.
But while we were talking about Go setups there, Almeida and Toddy were in a fight. Almeida making the move after Toddy going wide into turn 1. So Almeida's kind of saying, I was here, put the pressure on, and ended up making a nice clean pass into turns 2 and 3. So as we see Toddy immediately under pressure from Carbo here going into the chicane, they're side by side. Carbo yields as Toddy gets a little sideways after he hits the inside of that curbing,
but maintains it though. What a good recovery.
Yeah, Carbo had to back out a little bit there because of that little slide, so he's chomping at the bit to make that move when they get the opportunity next. So we'll see what they do. So, looking down the order, we do have some drivers that have pit. I'm trying to see. Only a small amount have. I would say about a quarter of our drivers have pit so far. Dunham is one of the drivers that was up and towards the front, who's already pit, starting in 7th and having a good pit stop of 6 seconds. Yeah. So we'll see if that'll help move them up later on in the race or whatnot, because pit lane execution is huge, especially here. If you can't get it right, you might lose a lot of spots and end up having to fight somebody.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's. I don't mean to throw shade on a division I'm in or D6 or anything like that, but I would say that pit lane strategy is probably more imperative in D5 and D6 than it is in D3, just because the guys in this sort of echelon of competition are probably more familiar with the tracks. Now, of course, you get some guys who come into the first season, they get qualified in the D3 or whatever, and they're just that fast. But I think it kind of it's worth reiterating that it's definitely worth practicing your pit lane entry, even if it's a track that you're familiar with.
Not even pit lane entry.
You can gain so much time.
It's everything. Pit lane entry to stopping in your boxes. We're also seeing Fickert and Anastasi have a fantastic battle as they're both sliding through turn 16. But getting your pit in your box, getting lifted up right away, not having having the car get picked up, moved, set down, and then picked right back up. And then having your starter on immediately, so as soon as that 1 second mark hits, you're gone, and then
you're gone.
Going.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there. It's not, there are track specific like breaking points for a pit lane, obviously, but you're 100% correct in just getting that timing down to where you slam on the brakes in the pit lane, where you come to the perfect stop in your box, and then you cut the engine, you immediately get lifted off. It doesn't have to shift you forward, back, left, or right. You stop in that one spot perfectly. That is where I think that you can really shave off some time against people that you may have trouble gaining seconds or tenths of seconds on elsewhere and throughout the track.
Yeah.
And if we needed to check up on him anymore, Zach Dupuy finds himself 18 seconds ahead of number 2 P2 right now, Anthony Speed.
Yeah.
18 seconds. He's creating a hell of a gap.
While we've been talking about all of this, we've also seen some good moves. Like Rashkosh on Osborne just kind of looked like Jess moved to the side and Rashkosh speeded off, so it might be a Porsche thing, so we'll have to see later on. And then
just Porsche things.
Meeks having a go-ahead wreck and just flying by him into turn 1, so just making an absolute send with that Lexus.
Yeah, no question about it.
Who can also help you make an absolute send in the office?
I think I know where you're going with this one, but why don't you remind me?
Documize.
There it is.
Documize is a wonderful service to help you in the office get a lot of your document control faster and getting it to your team. So highly recommend using Documize, since they are partnered with us to do all of your document control, and like some others have said, reduce your lap time around the office. So
there you go.
I love sneaking in good segues like that.
Well, I'll tell you
would
what.
be groaning.
Yeah, he's rolling over in his airplane right now, but I'm telling you, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan.
Oh, I love to hear that. Well, Donahue's not here, so he's not able to give a fun fact, but I can give you a fun fact actually about the track.
Let's hear it.
So, Oulton Park is owned by Jonathan Palmer and Motorsport Vision.
Oh, that makes sense.
If that name sounds familiar, it's because it should, because that same group owns Brands Hatch and Snedderton, 2 tracks that we race in SRA.
Wait, so you're telling me that 3 of, what is it, 5 British tracks in ACC are owned by the same group of guys?
Yeah, by the way, we also saw Fickert there lose it in turn 1, going a little wide and collecting the wall, so hopefully it doesn't have a ton of damage. But yeah, back to your point, yeah, that Motorsport Vision owns 3 of the British tracks that we have here on ACC.
so monopolies don't only exist in America, as we see a little bit of a barricade going around turn. What is that? 5 there, the hairpin.
Yeah,
Holy cow! But Robbie Toady doing a fantastic job of just sneaking around that as he sneaks around Carbaugh as well.
Let's see if we can. Oh, I see what you're talking about. That there was a car off in the grass and everything. So we have a first-time person in the chat, Dina Hawkins. First time in
Hey,
chat.
Dina.
Do you guys move people up divisions if, like, for example, Dupuis are that far ahead in races? Well, since we are on round 6, we've already done a lot of our division realignments. So that happens early on, and it's only natural that drivers will just unlock their pace in the second half of the season, and it's at that point too late. So we won't move them at that point, but we see Sam Reck actually having an ascend, but getting into the grass. Oh no! Oh, Meeks trying to get around as Reck was having a moment there. But get back onto the point that I was making. Division realignments kind of happen early on in the season. So races 1, 2, and 3 are where we see a lot of the drivers that stand out, as we see Reck also having another moment there after Druids. If they stand out, they get moved up. And then we also have the interior division realignments of gold versus silver. So if there is a pace difference, if a driver, qualified in gold to begin the season, they just may not have had the pace initially in the season, get moved down to silver. That happens. Same with people going from silver to gold. So it is possible people get moved, but it won't happen at this point until next season when we do our qualifying stints, whatever track we get to.
Yeah, and exactly. I think that's a great question, Dana, that you asked there. It's and welcome, by the way, as a first-time chatter. Thanks for stopping by. That's all right. That's a really good question, and Austin just hit it right on the head. I would add to it that there is, in between seasons, you do a qualifying stint, right? You do a hot stint, 5 laps on whichever course is deemed the qualifying track, and they take a few things into consideration: your pace from the previous season, your SRA rating if you have 8 races under your belt, and 8 races happens to be one particular season. But if you don't have 8 races under your belt and you're a newcomer to the season, then yeah, it is kind of just based on your performance in that 5-lap hot stint on whatever the hot stint qualifying track is for that particular season. And so there's where it becomes a little bit of a a shooting match where they got to try to slot you in somewhere. But to Austin's point, though, what you find is some people may come in new to the season, new to the league. They perform at a certain position on the hot stint, but then halfway through that season, let's say they get placed in D6, halfway that season they really start picking it up. They really start finding their groove, and that's where Austin's talking about. That's where you might next season get placed a division or 2 ahead of where you were placed the previous season. So there's a lot of algorithms and smart people far smarter than I, namely
Davey and Davey group.
right, that have created the algorithms that come up with this. But it's finely tuned, and I think everyone would agree that if you stop on by and give us a shot, I think you would enjoy your time here.
So we are about 20 minutes in. If you want to, I know it is a little skewed because people haven't pit and everything, but what are you seeing for potential for driver of the day kind of items?
It's one of those things where my first instinct is just look at how many positions somebody gained. So with that said, like, Lee is up there, he's in 11th place now. He's gained 15 positions. Started in 26 from what I'm reading here. He's up 15. Scusa's gained 17 positions. But realistically, I think I'm going to change it up a little bit, honestly, for my criteria of driver of the day. And I'm going to go with consistency. I'm gonna go with somebody who came out swinging, had a fantastic qualifying and maintained it throughout the race. I'm gonna go Zach Dupuis, and I know that seems like a cop out because he's in P1 right now, but speed is 22 seconds behind him. The gap just keeps growing. Dupuis has shown over the course of the last 3 races that this is the kind of the driver that he's evolving into, and I don't think he's going to be in D3 next season. So I'm going to go with the guy who's shown consistency, and I think that's one of the hardest things to nail over the course of an entire season, let alone, you know, the course of several seasons or even a race. Yeah, driver of the day, it's going to be Zach Dupuis. Yeah. I know this sounds like, you know, when you give a pitcher or the player of the day in a baseball game, it's the pitcher who threw a 9-inning shutout. Obviously, he's going to get pitcher of the day or player of the day. But listen, you know, at a certain point, you got to tip your cap and say, you know what, he earned it. And so that's where my vote's going.
Yeah, it's tough for me because obviously having that disconnection, my race control is not accurate. It's a little skewed, so I don't necessarily know who had a lot of positions gained compared to others because, like I said, it is a little skewed. So I'm going to have to figure out here in the next 18 minutes who I think has shown that consistency and everything. So we'll see what I come up with.
Well, I'll tell you right now. We had Scusa, who qualified 35. He's now in 18th place, so he gained 17 positions. We had Meeks, who qualified 27th. He's now in 15th place, so he gained 12 positions. We had Lee, who qualified 26th. He's now in 12th place, so we gained 14 positions. So there's a lot of people who've really climbed their way through the ranks through some really very consistent racing. But you asked my opinion for the driver of the day. Like I said, I'm going to go with Dupuis, who's been just absolutely shut out for the last few races. He's shown consistency. And that's the one thing that I'm most impressed by is consistency. So,
yeah, 100%.
He gets my vote.
Yeah, well, I got 17 minutes to figure it out still, so let's
perfect.
Go through it. But you know what has consistency?
I fucking love. I'm sorry. I freaking love it. I'm sorry. I get really excited there. I didn't mean to drop an F-bomb. That's my one F-bomb, right?
There you go.
The show is still PG-13.
PG-13.
Yeah. Exactly.
Consistency is the track racer rigs. You are going to have consistency on those because you're not having to move your seat or move your rig. They're just there every single time. So you'll have that consistency and everything. So take it. Gander over to Track Racer. They have everything from flight sims to racing rigs, and in that, like I said, they're also a affiliate of SRA. So we do have a code with them. If you use it, you do help out the league. That is all on our Discord and our website. So give Track Racer a nice little gander.
Absolutely, yeah, no question about it. And just to kind of clarify on the point with Track Racer and Go setups, as we are affiliates with both, it's not a discount that you get, but you do benefit SRA as a whole. So hey, in my mind, that's even better.
By the way, our leader has pit.
A slice of that pie.
So I'm watching the gap just close, and I was like, "What's happening?" And then I remembered I saw the pit lane there. As we see that he's stopped for a long time. That 20-second gap is almost non-existent now. As we see speed coming around turn 1, and Anderson right next to him.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, I'm
curious to know what happened in the pits for Dupuis.
I am too. How long was he stopped?
Although he does 5 seconds. He makes it pass around speed, and he finds himself back in first place with a hefty little margin, as there's a little contact between Speed and Anastasi.
Oh no, that's not what you like to see. But yeah, on the Dupuis, he had a pretty standard pit stop. 5 seconds is not terrible. It's not the best for a splash and dash, but it's not terrible.
Yeah, what are you looking at? Like around 3 seconds for a splash and dash?
3 is typically the splash and dash because you get lifted up. It says 4 seconds on the screen, but it's really 3 because when you hold your starter and the gas at the same time, you will get dropped and it'll still say 1 second on the board for you, but you're still going. So around that 3 second is the perfect pit stop.
I'm just so confused how that 18-second gap diminished in like 2 seconds.
It was more than that. It was
I don't
like
know what
20.
happened there. It was like we're in the
He was in
freaking
28 seconds ahead.
yeah, like we're in the Twilight Zone or something.
So for a short pit lane, it is a long pit lane. As I see, Bickert has a yellow. What happened here, buddy? Looks like side by side into turns 10 and 11. And did he overcook it? There's a little bit of contact, and he's in the grass on the outside of the turn, but back on track now. But Sam Reck, if you remember Sam Reck, he is three tenths behind Dunham. Remember, he was Mr. Consistent early on. He had 3 P2s like back to back to back. And like, I think the other drivers have just unlocked that pace, or he's just made struggle with Oulton Park, and I don't blame him. Oulton Park is a tough track to nail down.
Well, sign me up for people who struggle with Oulton Park. I too suffer from that disease.
We need to create a support group.
Hi, I'm Nate Bright, and I'm addicted to sucking at Oulton Park.
I wouldn't say addicted, but I would say I'm just not good at Oulton Park.
Really? Because I can't break that habit. So
there we go. I'm in the same boat. You know, what's a healthy habit that I can't break?
oh boy, that's the king. I swear.
It would be playing retro games. And you know where you can go to get retro games?
Retro Saga?
Yes, Retro Saga. They are partnered with us, so you go to Retro Saga. Unfortunately, no codes for that one, but we do work with them. So go to Retro Saga.
But Retro Saga does allow cheat codes, the old cheat codes, if you will. Up, down, left, right, A, B, A, B.
Yes.
That worked in Retro Saga games.
Yes, they will.
Well, the only game that it applies to.
If you want to relive childhood of myself and Nate, check out Retro Saga. Well, we were.
Oh yeah, you're an old fart like me, aren't you?
I'm not that old, but I do have 2 older brothers that introduced me to a lot of the older games.
I love it.
But as we were talking about Retro Saga, Almeida made a wonderful move into turns 16 and 17, going on the inside of Whitting Jr. And it looks like Toddy is also making a move on Whitting Jr. and makes that move stick. So Whitting Jr. in the span of 1 sector really not having a good time.
I wonder how his tires are doing. I know a lot of people came out in the D5 race with absolutely just cooked tires towards the end of the race. I wonder if he's struggling to maintain that grip and that traction right now.
Yeah,
with whatever tire wear he has.
Maybe, but also the 2 drivers that passed him have already pit, so maybe he's thinking, hey, I don't want to lose that much time, carry me to the group of cars in front, kind of thing.
Sure.
It's a very viable strategy. Sometimes you just you don't want to fight because you know that you're holding up the person behind, they're just faster than you, so you let them by, have them tow you to the group in front, and make some passes there.
Yep, exactly. Live to live another day.
Yeah. Sir Lose-A-Lot. I don't know if it was blue flags because I believe that Almeida, Toddy, and Whitting Jr. are all in the same lap as we see Whitting Jr. dive into the pits here. Gordon Beverly. Which one is this one? Is this Gordon Beverly Jr.?
Is GB3 in the chat? Oh, no. He said, what up, friendos? Oh, yeah, that's GB3, the legend. Okay. The D5, the legend who pours down straight gasoline on his laps. I'm telling you, this guy is an absolute legend in D5.
Yeah, I have not had much interactions with GB3, but I know you have. So.
Yeah, he's a good cat. There's a lot of cats I'm really fond of in D5. Obviously, Sean Daniels, Ben Roberts, Patches, O'Houlihan, Gordon Beverly. He's a newer guy, you know, came in this season, but he's certainly made a name for himself right off the bat.
He has. A lot of drivers have made some pretty good names. As we see, Scusa has a drive-through, actually, so I'll sneak that one in there.
Oh, and I can't forget my man, Panzo Rigatoni.
Oh,
Not trying to leave you out, Panzo.
There you go. But, going on to Super Dave here, who's all over the back of Whitting Jr. So, Whitting Jr. is just having one of those, you know, the meme of, straight up not having a good time. It feels like that at the moment, just looking at all the pressure he's been under. And Scusa clears his drive-through. Immediately has a stop go 30 for speeding in the pit lane.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
That is heartbreaking to see because...
Jeez, I'm having flashes of deja vu all over again from last night. Clear a pit, get a pit. Clear a pit, get a pit.
Yeah. Well, that is frustrating to see as a driver because you know exactly what they've been through.
Yeah.
Because we've all been there ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I might be a front runner on that category. Oh, you screwed up? Let me pave the way.
We walked so you could run, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, with Dupuis right now, you know, we witnessed him with what, a 30-second gap ahead of Anthony Speed, and now he's staring down the barrel of a 7-second gap. Oh, poor him.
Well, Speed, Anastasi, and Gino have yet to pit as well. So
yeah, that's true too.
And Gino,
the point remains, Zach Dupuis is just doing a tremendous job of just absolutely keeping a gap between him and you know, silver and gold, or silver and bronze.
Yeah. Well, Anastasi, we just saw him dive into the pits. Finally got tired of seeing the back of that AMR, hoping to come out into clean air, put some heater laps down and try to get that undercut, or is it overcut? It'd be the overcut on the overcut on to Speed. So we'll see. He is out on track now. Let's actually pop on board. He is in front of a car, so he has that clean air, so he can just push and hopefully gain that time that he needs to get the pass down on Speed through the pit lane strategy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. See, Anastasi struggling a bit. He's 19 seconds back from his personal best right here. 23 seconds back from Speed. As Sean Williams doing everything in his power to try to make up some time to get himself onto that podium.
Well, I also saw Sweeney. Dude, turn 16 is where I'm seeing a lot of these passes, and they are wonderful passes. Sweeney just made another move into turn 16, so wonderful inside movement, and just kind of said, "I'm here. I'm taking inside," and move past Lee there.
Yeah.
That seems to be the action zone of the track so far today.
Yeah, and you know, you had asked me at the beginning of the race where I thought the turns may happen. I couldn't even begin to tell you. You know, 16 I suppose doesn't surprise me, but man, based on my race last night, I couldn't tell you from first-hand experience where passes occurred.
Yeah, well, I'm a little surprised by 16 because it's such a tight line through there.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just not super experienced with Oulton Park and trying to pass here, so that could be where I lag behind in making these calls. So 16 really did surprise me a little bit, and I'm glad to see that there is the opportunity there.
Yeah, it seems like that's at least been a consistent point where people have found a groove there. Perhaps just because it's so, you know, crucial to nail it perfectly, and just one slight mistake can just send you off a little bit, just enough to allow the guy that's on your tailpipe, especially if you've been towing.
Yeah, and right now I'm on board with Toddy, so let's just kind of see what Toddy's seeing on the lap, because he's been all over the back of Almeida as well here, and you can see just on the onboard how tight some of these lines the drivers are having to take through a lot of these turns that the opportunity to pass is not fully presenting itself.
Yeah, they're few and far between, and that's where, you know, to reiterate my statement, we're going to be getting consistency. It's huge. It's imperative for a race like Oulton. And you see, and a little bit of contact between Toddy and Almeida there. Almeida stays in front. I feel like Toddy kind of backed off on purpose. Probably the gentleman's move to do. But nevertheless, it just goes to show how easy it is to just kind of run a little bit aggressive, even if you don't need to. We know Toddy's not the type to drive dirty.
Yeah, he is a clean driver, but something did miss while we've been focusing on this fight. Notice who is in P2 right now after the pit lanes have been taken care of.
Anastasi.
The man has got it done.
There you go. No, he's still 34 seconds behind Louis, but hey, he's in P2. That's good enough for podium right there.
Yeah, so nothing to scoff at, but still shows you the power of getting clean air and getting out there. And looks like we got some insider knowledge from Jose. Chris in car 121. I need to find 121 in here. Where is 121? There it is, Chris Whitting Jr. He looks like he is losing pressure on his left rear, and that may have been why he's going a little slower than we're used to. But pit window's now closed, so everybody's made their pits. We got Dupuis, Anastasi, Speed, Almeida taking right now our silver podium for P1. Toddy, Gino, Carbo, Rec, and Fickert, then Meeks running up the top 10. Honestly, thinking about it, Gino has been consistent, and his consistency has showed because he started, what did he start? 10th or so? 9th. So...
yeah, I believe it was 9.
Yeah, P9, showing consistency, moving up to 6th, and kind of on that revenge tour after Zolder.
Yeah, and you love to see that, you know, somebody coming out with a vengeance right here.
So
I'm
gonna go with Gino as my driver of the day.
Hey, I respect the hell out of that. I really do. I'm still sticking with Dupuis, and here's why. As if my previous argument wasn't enough. It's easy to
boy, what is happening here? 3 wide on the straight between Fickert. Who was that? It was a Weehals. They're going too wide into the chicane as a contact.
Oh no! Big contact.
Big contact. Oh no. They are losing positions left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Oh,
you hate to see that because they're battling down. They're coming down to the final seconds of the race. You know they're putting everything they can into it.
Yeah, and like Nate said earlier in chat, that's not a good place to go 2x2.
Yeah.
It is, well, not 2x2, but it's 2x1. So side by side. You can do it, but you have to have a lot of trust and you lose a lot of time. So not advised.
And it's tough this late in the race where you can't really trust your tires as much as, you know, perhaps you would like, especially at the very beginning of the race. But it's also it's like a double-edged sword because you're also wanting to finalize your position, so perhaps you get a little bit more aggressive, but yeah, your tires are a little less lenient on what they will allow you to comfortably control. It's a tough scenario. It's a lot of mental acuity that's required to prevent yourself from finding yourself in a position like that. But swinging back to why I like Dupuis is my drive of the day. Earlier, it was easy to glaze over when we said, all right, you know, We got P1 at Dupuis, P2 Anastasi, P3 Speed. But I want to highlight how many people are between P1 and P2, Dupuis and Anastasi, respectively. There's 9 cars between Dupuis in first place in pole position and Anastasi in second place. There's 9 cars.
I can't even fathom this though. Dupuis finished like half a lap in front of Anastasi. Anastasi has a moment here, taking home P2. Like I said, that was a long time ago that he finished the race, and Anastasi just crossed the line. Speed right behind him.
Yeah, there were 9 cars in between the two of them.
Yeah.
Between P1 and P2. I mean, that's an incredible amount.
Yeah.
To show you how consistently solid he was.
Dunham has a drive-through, which I can't remember the penalty for not serving it. But I think even though he's diving into the pits now, I still think he gets, he gets a penalty on top of it. So I would just finish the race. So he didn't get to actually serve his penalty. Sweeney trying to make a last-minute move here to take P15 away from Dave, but unable to do it. So he finishes P16. So that would be Dupuis, Anastasi. Looks like Toddy got third, then Almeida, then Speed. So I may have missed that, but Toddy jumping up into third.
Yeah, look at that. Sneaking his way onto the podium.
Yeah. But see, we got Dupuis and Almeida that we're going to have to pull up for Dupuis getting overall P1 and gold P1, and Almeida for silver P1. Who do you want to pull up for driver of the day? Because I know we had 2 different people. We talked about Meeks, and we also talked about Dupuis.
If honestly, my vote, if we're talking, because Dupuis already going to be up there because he just did a fantastic job, finished P1. Meeks gained 20 positions throughout the entire race. My vote's going to Meeks.
Okay. I will pull up Meeks. And Nate, I do agree. 30 seconds, it doesn't seem a drive-through at Oulton is 30 seconds. So I honestly need to do some research and find out what happened there for that penalty, because having that drive-through,
I'm at a loss here, brother.
Trying to clear it and then seeing a 30-second penalty on top of that is not what you like to see. So first, I'm going to move Dupuis as I see him into the cooldown room. Let me see. I'll actually pull him up so you can start the interview, and I'll see if I can find anyone else, Almeida and Meeks. So.
Perfect.
Mr. Zach Dupuis, looking like you are a regular up here right now.
Getting used to it.
Overall P1, how you feeling?
Feeling great, man. It was a hectic start to the night, but it worked out just fine. My computer was blue screening about 20 minutes before the race started, so.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I just built this thing and it CPU, so I have to run this program, and it got messed up by a Windows update. It got reset, so I had to run this 30-minute program to redial it in, and that's why I joined the server so late. It had just finished.
If I had a nickel for every time I heard the phrase "messed up by a Windows update," I swear to God, I'd be Bill Gates. Well, good for you on the recovery with the computer, but also, I'm telling you, man, I don't think that anyone could lay down a more consistent race than what you demonstrated for us tonight here in the D3 race 6. That was 6, right? I got my math right.
6.
Yeah, incredible. 35 seconds ahead of P2. You had a 35-second gap between you and P2, and there was 9 cars between you and P2. Anastasi, whom, mind you, I'm not throwing any shade on Anastasi. He put down a hell of a race himself. But nobody can quite hold the candle to the amount of consistency that you had shown tonight. What was your strategy going into it? Did you feel good after quali? I would imagine so, based on your quali. But how did you feel after? What was your strategy?
Yeah, I felt great after quali, and at least one full fuel stint just to practice.
Sure.
And during that, I realized that you got to stay away from the curbs early on because they will puncture you.
That's right. Yeah, I think Austin and I discussed that during the race tonight as well. It seems like you took that right to heart, huh?
Yeah, I was staying on the pavement as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was an impressive showing that you had. One thing that was kind of confounding to me, it seemed like you went into pits, you had a good pit, but then you came out and it seemed like Anastasi was right on your tail. I didn't understand like how he got so close or what happened there. Do you have any insight on that?
So I went into the pit. I came up on a group of like 4 guys, and they were all on the side of the top 20 and already pitted. So I knew that they're battling. I don't want to disrupt the battle.
Sure.
So I ducked into the pits. And at that point, I didn't know where the gap was, and I wasn't sure how long the pit takes. So actually, where I came out, I was in front of them, but they hadn't pitted yet. That's who got kind of sketchy there.
Gotcha. Okay, well that kind of clears that up. But at any rate, man, a hell of a performance tonight, Dupuis. A hell of a performance. I mean, as per the usual, I think it's safe to say at this point. You really came out swinging this season. You've made a name for yourself. You've thrown your name all over the leaderboards. At the end of the day, it's got to make you feel pretty good coming into the biggest sim racing league in North America and making a name for yourself. What do you think?
I'm joining, man. I'm committed.
Hell yeah, we love to see it, brother. Love to see it.
Well, you got any closing remarks for us before I send you back to your race review?
For sure. Real quick shout out to my coach, rowing you over, who he just took over, I think P1 and D1 silver, but he broke his leg this morning.
I heard about that. I saw that in chat.
What? What happened? I did not catch that.
He lives out in Wisconsin and slipped on some ice wrong and broke tib and fib clean. It's in the series chat. He's got the X-rays.
Oh, that's not fun. I know just how deadly that ice can get up north.
Yeah. My folks, in fact, my parents live up there. I just came back from there, Wisconsin this weekend, and they had 2 inches of snow, and I'm like, it's the middle of March. What's going on? That's crazy. Well, our obviously our thoughts and prayers out to run you over. Wish him a speedy recovery, and that's your tutelage in this, huh? Is Rania?
He's brought me into the race world. I'm full Sim Magic setup with a rig and a 34-inch widescreen now. I'm in.
My man. Hey, what do you got a 1,000R curve on that 34-inch, or what are you rocking?
I think it's 1,800 or 1,500.
Okay. All right. Right on, man. Well, hey, congratulations. Again, you've just been killing it here in SRA. You've made a real splash. You've made a name for yourself. You're really exciting to watch. We want to thank you, Austin and I, and John Donahue, obviously, who couldn't be here tonight. But we all want to thank you for just putting on a consistent show for us every week.
I appreciate it, and thank you guys for streaming. You guys do a great job.
Thank you. We love to hear that. We'll move you down to your the race review, so you can get right into it.
All right, thanks, guys.
I'm gonna bring up Robert, who was our silver P1. So let's get him up here. Robert, welcome to the booth. Sorry that we had you sitting there for a while.
It's all right. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome aboard, man. How you feeling?
Feel good. Feels good. Tough race. A lot of fast guys around today. Feels good, really. Had a really bad season so far, but finally up here.
Hey, you made it click tonight, which is always wonderful to see. And is this your maiden podium for silver?
This season, yes. I had one last season, but it was P2, I believe.
Okay, well, P1 for silver. So there you go. That's a overall win for the silver division. So how do you feel?
No doubt about it.
Feel good. Tired. Sweaty.
Yeah.
We've all been there before, right?
You name it, right?
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm here to tell you, man, every win streak starts with that first race. So based on the performance that we saw tonight, that could very well be tonight's race that sets you off for finalizing the D5 or sorry, the D3 silver in your position. I could easily see you riding this out for the remaining 2 races. What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel confident? Do you agree, or do you think this was a fluke?
No, I I've always thought I should have been up here a few times this season. Like I said, I just had some bad luck and some poor driving earlier on from my part. But I believe I can get up here again
Absolutely.
in the last 2 races.
Yeah. Well, I'm here to tell you right now that me and Austin wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You just it just take like Nate said, it takes that one race and then it all clicks and all green from there. So we hope to see you up here more often. I mean, we
I
always
will
hope to
try
see
my
everybody.
best.
So,
Absolutely. Hey, congratulations, Robert. D3 silver win. I mean, that's a hell of an accomplishment, especially with the grid that you got to compete with, especially on a track. For you to get your D3 silver win on Oulton Park, no less. I mean, man, that's a hell of a place to do it at. So I'm gonna give you a tip of the cap.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
you have any closing remarks for everybody watching?
No, not really. Just thank you for everything, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, that's right, man. I expect you to be up here next week. All right, Robert?
All right, I'll try my best.
All right, we'll
All
get
right,
you back
brother.
into race review too, so you can jump right into it.
Thank you.
All right. Last but not least, we have Mike Gino getting brought up. Mike Gino,
Hey,
welcome
Mike
to
and
the booth.
Gino.
How's it going?
What's
Good.
going on, fellow GRR associate? How you doing, brother?
Doing good. It was a
How you
long
feeling?
race.
Yeah.
Exhausted. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, is your sim rig sweaty?
Oh, definitely. My back is going. But it was not a super event race for me, and I'm surprised I'm kind of in here. Because I think I made one pass on track and it was a lap car, so I just kind of stayed out of trouble.
Hey, we
And
appreciate greatness everywhere we see it.
I don't know. I wasn't even trying to pass people either. I had no pitch strategy. I just came in whenever, and I came out in front of people that were in front of me before. It was a lot of luck. And then me and my teammate Chris Whitting, we were both losing pressure in our left rear, and we were struggling. He got his like 15 minutes in, and I got mine later, but it was a rough race that I'm surprised went our way so well.
That's fantastic. I love how you came up here nonchalant, like, yeah, I didn't even mean to be up here, but here I am.
I mean, last time you called me in too, it was the same thing with Wet Imola. I just drove like I didn't. I don't know.
Hey, listen, man. That's sometimes that's all it takes. You know,
Hey,
you put your nose to the grindstone, you focus, you keep your nose clean, and next thing you know, you end up having a really good, clean race. And that seems to be a pattern for you, Mike.
I don't know. I finish every race. Besides my little pit blunder last week, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that because it felt like a revenge tour based off of me and Bailey calling you out on the podcast.
Had to bring that up.
Yeah, it was definitely a good redemption. I don't even know where I finished actually, because I thought I was P8 or 7, and then the last lap, wreck and someone else was behind me, but I didn't see them go off. So I'm assuming I was like 6 or 5 or something.
P6.
P6.
You had a nice consistent race, so you stayed out of the trouble, and that helped move you up a lot.
That's
and
all I
on
can ask
Oulton
for.
Park, man, sheesh, that's a hell of a tall order, dude.
Yeah, it's on track.
It is.
I was practicing this week. Shout out to my teammate too. He put in like only 30 minutes of practice before the race, and he finished 13th or something.
Oh hell yeah!
I'm not that naturally skilled, so I practiced a bit more. But yeah, it was, I don't know, it's basically hot lapping for an hour is what I did. So it was pretty enjoyable, besides the pressures being kind of a mess.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, the pressures. That's the thing about Oulton, man. Those curbs can sneak up on you. Next thing you know, you got some air leakage going on.
I hit the chicane on the inside or inside curb, and then next thing you know.
Yeah, exactly. They'll beat you up over the course of the race. You can get away with it maybe a turn or two, but you can't rely on that over an hour-long race at Oulton Park.
Yeah, I think I did it every lap for 30 laps, so it was only about time.
I'm surprised you made it that far. Then honestly, all things considered, you must have been doing everything else perfectly.
I don't know. I'm surprised as you. When my teammate, who takes the same line as me, had trouble like 15 minutes in, I didn't change anything either. I'm like, okay, well, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah,
but it seemed like everyone was kind of struggling at the end with tires, so
sure.
it wasn't too bad.
Well, you put on a hell of a show, Mike. It was a blessing to watch. We appreciate the action you put forth, and hey,
Action.
we want to thank you.
A little lack of action, but I'll take it.
No, hey, yeah, all right. You may not think it's action, but in a course like Oulton Park, where action is consistency, that to our eyes, that's a damn fun thing to watch. It's kind of like watching the pitchers do in baseball. Certain baseball fans think that home runs are what make the game exciting. I think it's a 2-1 pitchers game. You know what I mean?
I'm with you.
So I'm all aboard. I'm all aboard what you were sipping tonight. So
Well, on
that's
that note,
fantastic.
though, Mike, do you got any closing marks for everybody that's watching, especially your teammate who's already giving you love in chat?
Oh, is he? Yeah, shout out to Chris. He had a great race. His best race too, even with losing pressure and limited practice. That's it.
I
Shout out
love
Ghost
you,
Rider
Mike.
and go Birds.
Oh, he
What?
just all right.
Left on
We
his
didn't even have to
own.
move him. I like a man with proactivity.
Well, Nate, on that note, though, do you have any closing remarks that you'd like to say?
I think it was a very, very fun race to be able to broadcast with you. There was a lot of good actions, a lot of good passes. There was a lot of good consistency. I keep coming back to that word because I feel like that's like the key to a track like Oulton. And so it was really nice to see people's practice and their racecraft come through tonight with the Division 3 on Oulton Park for race 6. It was a lot of fun to watch.
I agree, and I say this week in, week out. Drivers, they provide all the entertainment. We provide the spice, and I appreciate that the drivers continue to bring the entertainment every week. So thank you to all of them, and then thanks to the admin team for making all of this possible, and thank you to all the volunteers of SRA that make it even better.
Absolutely, 100%.
So
100%. Couldn't agree more. And thanks to our sponsors and affiliates and all the fine folks that, like you said, come together to make this happen. Because it's not just 1, 2, 3 people. It's a whole group of people who kind of volunteer their time to make sure that this all runs as smoothly as possible, and to maintain an element of competitive spirit and make it as fun as possible as well.
yeah. So again, thanks for everybody. We'll see you next week at the mountain.
The mountain, baby. I've never stepped foot on that track, but I cannot wait.
Yeah, so we'll get some exciting racing there, and we'll see what happens in that hour of Bathurst being an extremely difficult track. So another difficult track back to back. But on that note, thanks to everyone.
Wait, is
that
Bathurst
came
the next one? I thought it was Mount Panorama.
Mount Panorama is Bathurst.
Oh man, it shows how much I know about racing.
It happens, but thanks to
I'm
everybody.
glad this is at the very end of the stream where probably no one's listening right now.
Yeah, but thank you again for everybody that stuck around and watched the entire race and came out and supported everybody. Again, thanks to everybody that helps put this on, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Hey, Nate Bright signing out.
Austin Whitescover signing out.